So today I'm gonna do Code War challenges. I'll put the timer here. And I think I'm gonna do this for a while build the site, and I'm also gonna probably build another site off stream after the site that I'm building, so I might spend a lot of time doing this unless I decide that I want to do the site on stream, which can happen as well. But for now, I think I'm just gonna focus on solving these challenges here on Codewars. But before I do that, I wanna show the progress on the site. So I didn't work on this part yet, but I worked on this. And it was really hard to figure out all this stuff here. A lot harder than I thought it would be. But now at least at this page, I think it's fully working. And unless, uh, except these buttons here, which are supposed to filter, and it was the last thing that I was working on, but I couldn't finish yesterday. But here, if you click, hopefully, yeah, it opens the link for the site, for the graph. And then you can also type here, and it shows the options. And if you type an options that doesn't exist, then it shows this place select of one of the available options. So it's working exactly like I intended. I'm probably gonna change this layout, this input, not the layout, but the CSS. Maybe change the color, and I was debating whether or not to put an icon here, but I think I'm gonna ended up putting again the icon, and that's probably gonna take a lot more work. And for some reason, this doesn't feel really right because it's not aligned correctly here. So that's probably another thing that I'm gonna see how to change, because I think of the margins from these divs here. But yeah, and if you go through here, then you can select as well the graph. And I'm pretty happy about that because it was really difficult for me to do this. Oh, another thing that I might do in the future is work on this uh, event, not this canvas animation that shows up when the mouse moves. You can see there the dots connecting. I think that's cool, and I might work on that on stream actually after I'm done with the site to create a different animation for each page. So I'm just gonna stop this, and now let's begin the thing. I never used this site before, so I'm gonna see if it's how can I do this? Create a function that checks if a number n is divisible by two numbers x and y. Outputs are positive, non-zero digits. And so this solidity, but this doesn't have an ID. So I might do JavaScript actually. Because JavaScript, the ones that I was seeing, had an ID to code on the site. I think I'll do JavaScript challenges. Because I don't want to do on the ID on VS Code. I'm pretty sure JavaScript has at least the one that I was seeing before. And from what I understand, the higher the number, The higher the number, the easier the challenge. Yeah, this one has an ID. What? Okay, so there's no structure. Instructions. Let's see if I can deduce the instructions through these sample tests. Describe magic 5 task function with basic task function. So there's this list with this object for each the test that searches magical 5. So it's testing for TS, which is this value, and TN, which is this T answer. So the value of A and K, I imagine, have to be S and N respectively. And the answer has to be this value. Not sure if that makes sense. What is this mod as well? Just getting familiar with this thing because I never used. Okay. It is free though, so let me do anything here. So I'm gonna imagine if what I have to do is combine these two numbers and get this answer here for each one of them. So y is, if I will do this in mathematics, I'll do, yeah, but then I don't know the degree of the polynomial. That's the problem. Because I would have this x plus 1 equals this plus 2. Oh, actually, this would be 4, right? This would be 4, this would be 528. Then 63. Maybe we should just go to another one. Plus 2. So which degree of x could solve this? Because all of these would have to be the same x. So I think I don't remember really well how to do this, but I think you can do it with a matrix. Don't remember. Yeah, but that's probably when you have x and y or more letters for each one and you want to figure all of them out. You do some matrix and then you deduce the roots for each one and get the values. Let me just return anything here. Return x. Let x equals 0. And then I'm gonna test this and see what happens. Oh yeah, I'm doing I can't do this in programming. Well, let's see there. Let's see test. Yeah, but it's not giving any information about what I'm supposed to do with this. It's gonna call magic 5 with... Yeah, it's exactly this that I have to do. So it's gonna call magic 5 with these numbers as A and these numbers as K. And the answer has to be these numbers here. Why is this mod there? This feels a lot more like mathematics than programming. I know they are related, but I'll probably need to use pen and paper to solve this. I think I'll move on to another one that has a description first. Then maybe I come back to this later. The issue is, how do I come back to the... How do I go to the one that has... There's no way to go to the next task on this page. Let's try this one. And this one doesn't have an ID. Stats need to restore a string from a list of its copies. But first, well... Oh, there we go. You need to restore a string from a list of its copies. You receive an array of strings, all of them are supposed to be the same as the original, but unfortunately they were corrupted, which means some of the characters were replaced with asterisks. You have to restore the original string based on non-corrupted information you have. If in some cases it is not possible to determine what the original character was, use hashtag character as a special marker for that. If the array is empty, then return an empty string. Damn, this sounds difficult. So it's gonna pass a list with options where this star is the corrupted thing. And then I have to return the whole thing. And when it's not possible, I have to replace with the hashtag. So how can I do that? I think the first thing that comes to my mind is obviously map to the array. I need to map, and then I need to keep track of each string based on index. They're all gonna be the same length, I assume. So, this has 5, this has 5, 5, and each element inside of the array has... So let result equals array.map e so each element e is gonna be equal to one of the inputs for var element in e. Oh, I forgot to put this stuff. I'm not sure if this is the best way to loop through it. Yeah, maybe it's not the best. Yeah, I'm gonna do the I loop, I think is better. At I equals 0, I smaller than e dot length. No. Yeah, because I want to loop through the length of each one. So e dot length, which is gonna be a loop through the strings I plus plus. So I'm mapping each element, then I'm gonna loop through each element, and I'm gonna append this element to another list. And I'm gonna make a condition. So the thing is, I have to replace the elements on each iteration. So I think I can make a condition that final list equals this. So I can make this star condition here. If oh actually yeah, if ei equals to string, oh, but the thing is that I'm looping through the length of the array itself. Actually, I think it's correct. Because e is each string, then it's gonna loop through the letters of the string in here. Yeah, so that's probably correct. So if this is equal to this, then I do something. And else I do something else. Yeah, so I can do, let me think. Because the problem is gonna be when I can't replace. So through each iteration, I'm gonna test if the final list has the character. Maybe the way that I'm thinking is incorrect here. Because how I'm gonna push the letters first, that's the problem. Because I need to have something to match against. If I just push the letters to the list, maybe I can check the list. I can loop to the final list inside of this. And then the final list is gonna be the check. But the issue then is the index, because it has to be the same index for each element. So let me think. So in here you can determine because all of them are strings. How can I replace an element in the list? That's the thing. I think I can make the list equal to... First I need to make this list, the final list equal to the length of the string. I need to find the best way to do that. Then maybe I definitely can run a loop and another loop and push. Well, but then if I do that, the problem is that each time it's gonna loop and it's gonna push the items again. So I can't really do that. I don't think that's the best way to go about it. I was thinking making this list equal to the length, making the elements of the list equal to the length with empty strings. And then I can put the condition for empty strings and pass a letter so that initially it passes the letters and then, yeah, but then I would have to pass the star as well in the first iteration. So I have something to check against. So basically the problem here is I need to match each element and see where the stars don't align and where they do. I think I'm gonna open up the documentation on JavaScript as well here. Yes, I remember some of the methods. It doesn't feel like it's too difficult, but it's hard to think about which way to go about it. I think this is the best approach. I just have to think about how can I make the connection between the stars and the indexes. Maybe instead of a list, I can make a dictionary. Where each index is the S key. I think the hashtag in the end, all I have to do is filter the list, the final list, and see where there are still stars. And then I can replace the stars with the hashtag. Maybe not filter, but mapping is best. And if I remember, there is a function here to replace items. Maybe not. I remember there was something like this on JavaScript. If there isn't, then it's a lot more annoying because I'm gonna have to split the thing and then connect again with different elements. Yeah, but I'm not seeing anything here. Yeah, can you just pop with the argument? And removes the last. So I don't think you can remove a specific one. So let me think, how can I do this? I think I can store the index. Mm. Because the problem is if I store the index, I have to. I still need to keep track of the next one. If I start the index, I would have to figure out a way to use that index in the previous iteration. Maybe I should write some mock code to clarify what I'm trying to do. So here, the thing is, the problem is that I don't know if that's the best way to approach this. I think it's push to append items to the end of the array. Because there are two problems here. One of them is if I append, then I have to figure out a way to maintain the size of the final list. And the other one is the index. How I'm gonna keep track of the index that has this star. Yeah, maybe the SO approach is actually not the best. think I can make another variable here. X equals a.length. Then I have to think about how to replace stuff. I'm gonna search for this. So it finds the index using index of, and then it checks to it checks if it's checks for the position, because if it's different than -1, then but I'm not sure if this is JavaScript. I'm gonna keep this answer. Oh, I did type JavaScript there. So where I'm kind of stuck is trying to figure out what's the way that I'm gonna do it, because the biggest problem is this list here. Oh, maybe I can do the list outside of the loop. Yeah, that makes it a lot easier, actually. I can just do it here. And then maybe I can also do this outside. I can figure out the length of an element, because they're all gonna be the same. So yeah, I can do another loop. I think that's better. Just separate them. So I think I'm gonna copy this. Equals to array the length of the first element, and then for the thing here is I have to think about if there's a better way to. I'm gonna do the thing that I was talking about of pushing empty strings to this list based on the length of the first element of this array. And then I'm gonna check this list each iteration of this and put a condition. If there is an empty string, I'm gonna either replace that with a letter or with the thing. Yeah, and then I can make if I is different than this, because every time it hits this, it's not gonna append anything to the list. It's not gonna replace. And then at the end, are gonna have a list where it's either gonna be fully complete or they're gonna be empty strings, because some of the spots were not traded for letters. And then I can just do another condition. I can filter and replace the spots that have empty strings with this. So now I just have to think if there's a better way to initialize an array based on the length of a string. I can do maybe array.0 push or split actually. I don't remember if they split, because in Python, if you split, I think it gives you a list with each element based on the pattern. So let me see. There's slice, no split. Oh, it's because I'm on the array part. Let me go into strings. Char concat split. Generate list of substrings. Yeah, so this does what I imagine. And I think this is more effective than creating a loop, but I'm not sure. Yeah, another approach is to split based on the thing there. You can split based on the stars and then check the length of each, but I think that's a more complicated way to do it. So how is the syntax again? We put the string and then split. Based on this. So now I assume that x is gonna be a list with the length. And then I can just make if xi. No, let me think. So here I'm gonna do it different. Or maybe I have to put an end condition there. Oh, but then this also creates with each letter. So this is gonna be a list containing each element of this list is gonna be a string, a letter on the first element strings. So now I'm thinking about if there's a better way, instead of creating the empty strings, making the list equals empty strings, if instead I can use the first list as the starter check, so I can check for the letters on each iteration. Obviously the first one is not gonna change the string because it is the element. On the next ones, if there is letters instead of stars, then I can do something, I think. So maybe if we can do if x, y is equal to this, because I'm gonna be looping through, the index is gonna be the index of this. And now I can have to erase this. Yeah, so now let me think. So here I think I can make an end statement as well. Is different. then a star. Then I can make xy equals to ei. I'm not sure if I can do this because it's kind of tricky the way that the references are in computers. So instead of changing the value, I might just be referencing in a different way. So I'm not sure if this works. But I think it's worth trying because it's the simplest way I can think of. And if this doesn't work, then I'm gonna use the stuff on Stack Overflow there. So if xy is equal to the star and ei is different, so if the element on the x list is a star and the element inside the other list is not a star, then I make the element, then I make the x element equal to the letter. And what other condition I can put? Maybe that's all I need actually. Because if that's not the case, then if there is no stars, then it doesn't need to change on xi because it means that it is a full letter. It's the full answer. So every time it's gonna hit this one. And then this has to be different as well because, yeah, so I don't think this condition is necessary. And then outside of this loop, I can filter through the array and replace let results. Oh, I already did the result there. Let answer equals results. Oh, actually, the answer is actually gonna be on the x variable. So map e then I can make if e is equal to star. Oh, actually, yeah, that's correct because each e is gonna be a letter. And then I have to join as well after I do this. And I think I can do this with join like this. Then I can make e equals hashtag. And here I can return answer. So I think I'm just gonna try. I'm not. Usually I expect it to fail because that's usually what happens at first, but you have to try. There's no other way. Oh, this is from Python. So I have to do it like this. Answer is not defined. Huh. Oh, I did this thing inside of the results, I think. Let me think. Yeah, now it's correct. This is for the for loop and this is for the statement. I'm not sure what the difference between attempt is and test. Oh, so this is a full test and this is a test before the full test. So I'm getting an empty string, apparently. Oh, so... Oh, but actually, it doesn't really matter if there is special characters that are not stars, because this should create the list with each letter anyway. So if there is a space, you should have one of the elements of this X list should be a space. So I think the problem is probably here. I probably can't do it like this. And see if I get different response in test. I wonder if I can console log this. Because how I'm gonna debug this stuff if I can't console log. But let me think. Yeah, the problem is probably here. Pretty sure. And then if I have to change this, I probably have to change this as well. So the next attempt that I'm gonna do is change this through the answer here, but I have to think if that's really the correct way to do it. Yeah, I have to replace the X. I think I'm gonna type this down here. Replace X element at I position with E element at I position. That's what I have to do. So now let me go back here. Yeah, I think this solution is way better, but I'm not sure if it works. So I'm gonna copy this and then I'm gonna think about how to convert it for my case. Maybe I have to put it inside of this loop. So here would be index of xy, because xi is the element that I'm trying to compare to. Yeah, but this doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, because doing this is gonna be pretty much the same stuff that I was doing. Because I already have the index. Unless maybe if I put E here. No, I don't think this way makes sense. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna have to do it the other way. Or maybe I'm not understanding the way that this works really well because it feels like to me it's the same thing that I was trying to do. Just getting the index and making it equal. The problem is I don't want to map either. But I think I'm gonna have to do that probably. You can splice the array and then concat again with the different thing. But it's just more annoying to do. Why doesn't anyone build a function for that? It seems really weird to me. You could just make a function and then put it in the library. And then I don't have to worry about doing this again. And it seems like something that's really common. And this is using the same thing. It's pretty much the same answer. Maybe instead of doing the loop, the if condition, I can do this index off, actually. This is what I'm thinking about now. Because I can just check. Yeah, but if I do it this way, then the problem is... Oh, but actually, if the first list doesn't have any stars, then it should be the answer already. So, yeah, but then I have to think if it's gonna throw an error. Probably not, because if the item doesn't exist, it's gonna be equal to -1. Yeah, probably this is not gonna work, but I think I'm gonna try it. So X would be my list. And X, Y, the element. Then X equals E, I. And this part, the issue here is that I'm not sure if this is making the E inside the list equal to hashtag or making hashtag point to E, but then it doesn't change the list, the array itself. That's the problem here. I'm still getting an empty string. Maybe it's the way that I'm using split. I wonder if I can do console log here. Oh, so it is possible to use console log. Oh, so I am getting all the characters. So this is doing what I thought was doing. So maybe now I put a console log inside of here. Console log. Oh, so this probably has to be EI, I think. Let's do it again. Yeah, so now there is a couple of -1. And the explanation is confusing. I'm not understanding really well how does this work. Maybe what I can do is console log xi here, and then after this, after it changes, but then I have to break, I think. Maybe not actually. Yeah, so it is the star first, and then the. So I think it is working, actually, this part. This first was star, then E, then. So the problem is probably here in the X map. So let me console log result here and see what I get. Oh, and also console log Yeah, results doesn't matter actually, but okay, so I do have this string here, hello world. So the problem is here. Oh, it's because I'm joining them incorrectly. It's array. JavaScript creates and returns a new string by concatenating all of the elements in an array, separated by commas or a specific separator string. Both using the separator. Oh, so maybe if I just erase this. Let's test now. So now I'm getting the commas instead. Yeah, the problem is definitely here. Maybe it's better to join later actually. And then I can just make answer equals answer.join. Because it's probably the mapping stuff that is messing up things. Yeah, this portion I think is necessary because it's gonna change the star to hashtag. And it's mapping the X list to find which character is equal a star. Let's see. I'm still getting this. What if I do this? Hmm. So now it's giving me undefined. So this mapping here is the problem. Oh, I have to return E probably at the end. That's probably what I'm missing. Okay, so now I think it's gonna work. Let's see. Yeah, so now it's just a matter of figuring out how to connect. Maybe if I do a comma, it works. If it doesn't, I need to turn this into a string. So, and if I do it like this, there we go. Nice. And hopefully it passes the bigger one. Oh. Cannot read property split of undefined. So what if I do this? The problem is if I do like this, then yeah, I'm not sure exactly how it's gonna split it. It's not splitting the thing. Hmm. So the problem here is special characters, it seems like. Yeah, so these ones work. The only one that doesn't work, I think. Oh, actually, all of them are working. Not read property split of undefined. Oh, so the case where it's not working is when it's the array is empty, I think. Yeah, because then there isn't array 0, maybe. So I think I can put a condition here before if array, I do this. Yeah, but then because then I have to, yeah, maybe I can put the all the rest of the code in this else statement. I'm just trying to think if that's really the problem or maybe I'm missing something. So actually it's the other way around. Yeah, scratch that. So if there is an array, I'm gonna do this, and if there isn't, that answer equals this. Oh, actually, empty string. Probably. And now it's failing all of them. And the if statement is correct. Or maybe it's because I forgot this. Because I don't see anything else that can be wrong there. Answer is not defined. Maybe it's the indentation. Let's try again. Actually, there are no cases. Oh, but this is the test. I don't think this is the attempt. This test here. So what's wrong with this? I can't see anything wrong. That's the problem. The only thing maybe is maybe I can do this. If array is different than empty string, then I do this stuff. Else answer is empty string. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it doesn't work. Is indentation is correct? Let me erase this part and see if I still get the same thing. Yeah, now it's failing both, so I assume that probably the problem is here somehow. Maybe if I console log array. If I console log array, I can probably see the tasks they are doing. I can't understand the line as well in this. Oh, here it's probably line 24, maybe. But here it says 26. So these are not situations where the array is empty. Because it's failing and there are elements in the thing. So maybe I erase this and try again from a different. I'll try array temp. So now it's passing one. Oh, but here I'm getting empty. Maybe you can put this condition in the end. If answer is equal to make answer equals to this. Oh, but actually that doesn't make sense because it's on the split that is not working. So maybe if I console log the X stuff. So this works, this works, this works. It probably fails on this one. At least that's what I'm assuming. Which is weird because, yeah. Oh, actually, this one probably works as well. Yeah, I think it's failing on the empty list. But it's weird that the condition is not working. That's the issue. I don't know if the ones that is breaking are these best ones or is a different one. I think it's probably... I'm gonna try again to do the if statement there. Then I make... Now the thing is... Because I'm gonna map through this later, so... Maybe I can make array 0 is equal to empty string. Oh. I wonder if I can do try catch blocks to catch the exception. So I figure out which test is failing. Oh, if our array dot length different than... Actually, smaller than 1. Or maybe equals to 0. Or maybe if array equals to undefined. I can try that as well. Oh, but then the issue is because I'm gonna, well, yeah, because the times that the first element exists is not gonna check this. So it's gonna do the normal stuff. And when it does, this is gonna be empty, and I assume this split here is not gonna change the array. So X is gonna be an empty string, which is gonna give me an empty string at the end. That's what I'm assuming at least. There we go. Nice. So maybe I can put some comments here. Check to see if array has elements or is difference defined. Maybe I can put an or statement as well. Let me see. Oh, keep forgetting that. And so this doesn't work. So what if I do this? Oh, that's weird. I wonder why this one doesn't pass and the other one does. What if I do with one R here? It still doesn't work. So maybe I'm gonna search for this. Because what if they pass something else that is not an array? Don't you need to check to see if it is? But maybe this way already checks for that. I'll put the comments here. A list of the letters of the first element in the array. Maps array and changes value of changes this the star of first string with next string letters and stuff. Or maybe I can do It means star changes this star with the hashtag. Maybe that's all I need to write as a comment. Guys. Into string. I think I'm gonna submit, because I'm probably not gonna change anything there. Okay, now I think, yeah, that's finished. I'm probably gonna move on to the next one. Oh, you can see the solutions from other people, which is cool. Yeah, so this solution is actually a lot better than mine. It's pretty much doing the same thing, I guess. So it's checking if it has a length, and if it does, is an empty string, else is concatenating with the spread operator the first element. So it's making a list of the first element, the mapping xi, xi, at s equals array.find y yi different than x. So it pretty much does the same thing, but in a different syntax, I think. Yeah, usually I tend to go with the stuff that I'm more used to, which is a very big challenge because as a default, you always want to do the same thing because you already know, instead of having to force yourself to think about different ways to write things. But if you never force yourself to write things in a different way, you never improve, obviously. And that's the challenge. Because I think writing it this way is a lot more clean than the way that I did it. It takes a lot less space. But it's also harder for me to think about it. Because I don't have experience writing things this way. Yeah, this one seems like more my solution. I think my solution is actually better than this one. This one's pretty much the same. This one is a little bit more clean, a little bit cleaner. I think this is probably the best one. Yeah, but it's using a library here. The only issue with these types of solution is that it's kind of hard to understand for other people what's going on. I think I'm gonna move on to the next. And before I'm gonna check this stuff that I was checking. I'll check an undefined argument of the function. Also, it's pretty much just checking, but with strings. Oh, it's type of and then string. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is another site that I wanna do eventually. It's Python challenges. So I think the other one, Solidity, actually there was an IDE, I just didn't know how to select. So I'm gonna go back and see. Because I think I wanna learn Solidity first. Because JavaScript I already kind of know. And I assume the higher the number, the easier the challenge. Yeah, so this was the one that I was at previously. Oh, actually, well, you can solve the same problem using different languages, actually. Interesting. Oh, here is still JavaScript. Okay, now, now it's Solidity. So I don't know anything about Solidity, so I probably will have to look it up a bunch of times. And I think I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna grab some water. Yeah. The last challenge took a lot more time than I thought it would in the beginning. Right back. Let's see how hard this one is probably gonna be. I think I'm gonna open Solidity documentation. The other thing that I don't understand really well is what ecosystems use Solidity. I think Solidity is the main language for Ethereum, but I'm not sure if the other ecosystems are built on Ethereum or if it's a different thing. So I think I'm gonna search for that as well. What language are Solana smart contracts built on? Hopefully there are answers to this. There's also projects on build space that I can do as well. I'll probably after a few challenges I'm gonna do that. Maybe I can do the Codewars challenges and this build space stuff at the same time. Is that it's not a requirement that you have experience with smart contracts or Rust to get started building on Solana. In fact, you don't need blockchain experience at all. Solana smart contracts are called programs. Rust, C, C++ are the languages used to build programs that are developed on chain. So C++ is probably the language that I'm going to choose. Solana programs are vital to building unique and powerful tools on chain. But the good news is that there are already a lot of programmers available for you to interact and build with. You can build apps similar to how Web2 and Web3 developers build web apps in centralized applications with third-party SDKs. The only difference is that with dApps, you're storing data on the blockchain rather than on a centralized database. This is pretty much the backend that is the difference. But I want to know if there's any other specific languages, kind of like Solidity for this. When Solana is done in Rust, C, and C++, these programs are built and deployed on chain and are run via the Solana runtime or they live forever. These programs can be used by anyone who knows how to communicate with them by submitting transactions with instructions to the network with the JSON RPC API or any SDK built on top of this API. Other on-chain programs can also make use of the JSON RPC API. The app development is something that most Web2 and Web3 developers will be more familiar with. This type of development involves creating applications that send transactions with instructions to on-chain programs and very closely resembles building web mobile apps, blah blah blah. So I think that the main languages I have to learn is C++, Solidity, and I also need to learn React very well. I think that those are the most important ones. On Python, I already know. I'm not very good at it, of course, but I know enough, I think. We just discussed the development workflows on Solana, and you learned that you can develop programs on Solana or you can build dApps using existing programs. Now let's talk about some of the programs that exist today, created by Solana Labs. There are two sets of programs that are maintained as part of the core software releases, native programs and the Solana program library. Native programs are the core of Solana, and the one of the most common of those is the system program. This program is used for things like creating accounts and transferring SOL. Other popular native programs include stake voting. I think I'm gonna skip this. I'm gonna search. I think I'm gonna do Code Academy actually off stream, so I'm gonna search for that to see if they have React stuff. And here I'm gonna search what languages are necessary for smart contract programming in different ecosystems. I think C++ is definitely gonna be one of them. And Rust is another one that I've seen that is talked about a lot. So Solidity, Viper. The next important answer to what languages are smart contracts between would point aspiring smart contract developers towards Viper. It is a programming language with a heavy influence of Python, tailored particularly for smart contracts. Deployment. The three fundamental design principles and goals of Viper provide a solid foundation. So I think I'm gonna write this down. Solidity, Viper. Smart contract languages. The only one I heard about is Solidity because of Ethereum, and the other ones I have no idea. The problem is if you focus too much, then in too many things, then you don't become good at anything. So there are a couple of React, and this is good. Create an advanced web app with React and Redux. Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna do this off stream while I do all the other stuff on stream. So apparently this is the documentation. Oh, I already have another challenge here. I think I'm gonna do C++ challenges as well. Because my issue is JavaScript, I already know, but I don't know really well the libraries, but the language itself, I think I know enough. And the others, I think it's gonna be better to do challenges based on the other ones because they're kind of new to me. I wonder if there's anywhere that I can see exactly how the levels work. Maybe ranks. Oh, so it's kind of like in martial arts. Ranks are used to indicate the proficiency of users and the difficulty of kata. There are two classes of kata, Q and Dan, which are divided in 8 levels each by increasing order of proficiency difficulty. 8Q to 1Q, 1 Dan to 8 Dan. By the names Q and Dan, the terms are borrowed from a system in Japanese martial arts, which is in turn borrowed from the game of Go. Dual Q indicates the number of degrees away from master level. Done. This is why they count downwards. Once you reach master level, we count upwards. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it was like I was imagining. The 8 is the easiest, and then because I'm still on the queue stuff. But I wonder why I can't see any Dan here. It's probably because I haven't done enough challenges to go up. This is why they count on. Once you reach master level, we count upward. Black belts in martial arts are Dan level. Yeah, so that's how it works on karate. I'm not sure if I'm saying this correctly, but you climb until you get to the black belt. Once you get to the black belt, start counting on dans, which are the stripes in the black belt. User rank breakdown. When you visit your profile on Codewars, you can see that you have an overall rank, as well as individual ranks for each language you have completed in kata in. The view of the last, yes, the rest doesn't matter. I think I'm gonna do this. Create a function that checks if a number n is divisible by two numbers x and I. All inputs are positive, non-zero digits. So I have to see if n is divisible by two numbers x and y. Public pure returns bool. I'm gonna take guesses, I think, on how to write this, because I have no idea how the language works. So maybe it's just if statement. So if the remainder is not zero, then return 1. Else if y, return 1. Else return 0. Didn't pass. Also this, I can't use this. Oh, so because it's a boolean here, I have to return a boolean, I think. Yeah, that's the problem. And I think public indicates that the function can be used anywhere. So now at least it's compiling. So maybe this is not gonna be the best way to learn the language because I don't know anything. The syntax, the basic syntax. I assume it probably comes from C++, so it might be a better idea to learn C++ first. Or I should do the build space projects next time, so I can get a feel for how it works, and then do the challenges. Let's begin with a basic example that sets the value of a variable and exposes for other contracts to access. It's fine if you do not understand everything right now. We'll go into more detail later. It has to be very similar with C++, probably, because everything comes from that basically. Yeah, uint creates the variable, function set uint x public, function get public view returns uint, return store data. This syntax, this way that is written here, I'm not really familiar with. To access a member like a state variable of the current contract, you do not typically add the this prefix. Just access it directly via its name, unlike in some other languages. Omitting it is not just a matter of style. It results in a completely different way to access the member, but more on this later. This contract does not do much yet apart from due to the infrastructure built by Ethereum, allowing anyone to store a single number that is accessible by anyone in the world without a feasible way to prevent you from publishing this number. Anyone could call set again with a different value and overwrite your number. The number is still stored in the history of the blockchain. There you see how you can impose access restrictions to that, only you can alter the number. It's probably going to be by writing private instead of public in the function. Yeah. Damn, there's a lot of stuff here. It's so difficult to decide which language to do first. Because I don't know what's gonna be the most productive way. So here the problem is, I think, oh, maybe it's probably better to try C++ first because it has probably more documentation and people talking about common things. And Solidity is probably gonna be harder to find. So then once I really learn C++, well, I can deduce the answers for Solidity. So I think tomorrow probably I'm gonna do C++ challenges. And then once I finish the site that I'm building, which is this one, I'm gonna do the build spades project on stream probably. To get familiar with Solidity. Oh, here I'm making an OR logic as well. So I have to put, yeah, now I have to think, it's probably like this to do AND. But I'm not sure if this syntax is correct. Maybe we can search for this. How to know if a number is divisible by another. in Solidity. The fixed point numbers documentation has a warning which says fixed point numbers are not fully supported by Solidity yet. They can be declared but cannot be assigned true or from. The warning at the bottom of the rational and integers literals says division on integer literals used to truncate in earlier versions, but it will now convert into a rational number. It's not equal to 2, but to 2.5. Are not provided till, yeah. So when was this? Oh, 2016. It's a long time ago. Probably they fixed this a long time ago. Yeah, that's the problem with Solidity. There's not a lot of people. So there's not a lot of. I imagine, I haven't looked a lot, but I imagine that this is the case. So, how to find the remainder of a division in Solidity? Maybe I should also search what language was Solidity built on. Because I'm assuming it's C++. Solidity is a computer programming language that was built to run on the Ethereum blockchain. It was shaped by existing languages C++, Python, and JavaScript. It's primarily designed to allow smart contracts to be created on the network. Computer science Gavin Wood originally came up with the concept that the Solidity language would serve as the CTO at Ethereum for 2 years. His idea was taken forward by Christian Heitnas, I don't know how to say that, who led a team of people to actually develop it. A brief history of Solidity. So, August, Solidity language proposed. 2015 was released. So special about us, Solidity is the code behind Ethereum, one of the largest blockchain platforms in the world. Continue. These do share similarities. So it's not very clear from this, but I assume it's C++. Yeah, I think the best approach is probably gonna be C++ first, and then become really good at that, and then try to find the solutions of Solidity challenges by making assumptions on first principles from C++. It's a statically typed curly braces programming language designed for developing smart contracts that run Ethereum. Where can I find this? I'm probably gonna close this one. Yeah, assume everything in Solidity has to be a contract as well, which is a function probably. I wonder if there are classes. Probably there are actually. And it probably works more like JavaScript, the way the classes are built. So this is a programming language that is heavily influenced by JavaScript, Python, and C++. Yeah, so pretty much these three languages. So I think I'm done for today. And I'll probably come back tomorrow. Tomorrow or the next day to keep doing these challenges, and I'm probably gonna continue doing the challenges with C++ instead of Solidity until I finish this website. And once I finish this website, then I'm gonna probably do the build space projects on stream to learn Solidity. So that's my plan. So see ya.